I'm very entrepreneurial in that sense. I've always kind of been a builder at heart. And so that opportunity felt really interesting to me. And we grew really quickly. I mean, I think it was very much a 0 to 1. There was pretty much like a skeleton kind of design of what it was.
In this upcoming era, the diagrams between a creator and a technologist is going to get only closer and closer. You as the human still need to be in charge on dictating what's possible.
If creators are going to spend their time on this platform creating content that ultimately is the inventory for advertising, how can we make sure that creators can make a living while they're doing that?
Welcome to Brand Ventures, and get ready for an exciting adventure into the world of brand innovation on the Brand Ventures podcast. GP5, production for adventurous brands. Hey guys, welcome to the Brand Ventures, the show that's going to take you into the world of adventurous brands. Today on the Brand Ventures, we're joined by Adrian Lahens and Mehmet Bal, trailblazers in the creators economy and AI-powered creativity. They're now building Infinite Studios, a discovery and collaboration tool for brands and creators, alongside seasoned product leader Mehmet Bal, who's built Adobe's generative AI tools, Firefly and Express. Together, they're redefining what creativity looks like in the age of AI. Adrian, you've been at the forefront of the creator economy since the early days of BuzzFeed. You helped build TikTok Creator Marketplace and groundbreaking AI tools like the TikTok Symphony. Can you tell us, what did you see back then that others didn't?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me, Gus. Super excited to be here. Been working in this space for the last 15 years or so. Early days was one of the first 100 employees at BuzzFeed at a time where the sort of concept of native advertising and branded content was kind of just starting to form in the context of the internet. And, there was this kind of transition that I recognized around 2015 that was starting to take shape, where power was starting to shift from institutions to individuals. And we started to see that actually take shape at BuzzFeed. And I remember distinctly being in a sales meeting where we had just lost a very big RFP to a creator that essentially was working out of their bedroom. And that was sort of the wake up call for me that, a big media company with, hundreds of millions of dollars of VC funding could essentially lose a deal to a creator working out of their bedroom. And that was the sort of shift for me of okay, the future of media and entertainment, the future of advertising is moving into what now is known to be the creator economy. And I really wanted to be part of that shift. And so I left BuzzFeed in around 2015, and joined a company called Influential. I was the COO there for about 5 years. And Influential was taking an approach, really kind of looking agnostically at creators around the world, and matching brands to creator based on demographics, psychographics, and contextual relevancy. And that kind of, those were sort of the days where you couldn't even put paid media behind a creator post. The creator space as it related to creator marketing was not established at all. And our role in that was to really evangelize this space. And I feel like now, as we're moving into generative media and AI, it's a very similar, we're in a very similar kind of pivotal moment where there isn't really a professionalization of the space yet. A lot of the tools are built to enable creators to have their work, to be able to create their work and have their work kind of be shared on these social platforms. But in terms of how they actually make a living using these tools and bringing their stories to life with this new medium, it's so early days. And this is exactly the exciting moment to be part of.
Absolutely. I remember the beginning days of YouTube and creators. Everybody, it felt like you were strapped to a rocket going 100 miles an hour, but you didn't know where you were going. So
totally.
Yeah. And so tell me,
it only makes sense in retrospect. It kind of feels like as you're in it, you're like, what is the next step? Where are we sort of moving? And nothing really feels like a straight line. It kind of feels chaotic. And I feel like my whole career has felt like that. But then when you look back, it's like, oh, that all made sense because, how the future evolved is kind of where we are today.
Exactly, absolutely, and that's what happened when you're innovating. Mehmet, I want to ask you, what were you doing back then when YouTube was starting out?
It was around that time. I was more on the product side of engineering side of things, looking at the waves of the crypto and a second coming of the dot-com boom. And around that time, I think we were in the beginning of the gig economy. So that's where my focus were, and seeing those different waves and see how it comes together. And now seeing the same thing on the creator economy 2.0, which is more focused on AI and amplification of it.
Yeah, I mean, these tools kind of get developed, and then there's an experimental side to it. So this is where creators fit in, because they'll start experimenting with the tools, and they're sort of guinea pigs to what the future is gonna be. I remember when I started, I worked at a place called Maker Studios, and we had about 250 creators at the time. We didn't even have the word influencer. And same thing, we had 250 channels that we had to develop, and they're all completely different. We're absolutely, amazed by what it ended up becoming.
So, yeah, the height of the MCN days, right? I think like that's there's a lot of talk right now about, is that going to come back in kind of a new form, right? Because I think the idea of sort of consolidating a lot of these channels and providing creators with commercial opportunities is really, it was something that didn't kind of like a shot in the pan in, that time frame in the US, but actually like the MCN model works really well internationally still to this day. And when we think about how that might evolve in the context of AI content as new platforms start to emerge, it'll be interesting to see how that evolves.
Absolutely. Tell me, so you were at TikTok and you helped build the creator marketplace. Tell me a little bit of how that started.
Yeah. So I was at Influential at the time. We were one of the first 3 API partners for TikTok's creator marketplace. So TikTok was building both first-party tools and like a self-serve creator marketplace platform, but they actually started with an ecosystem approach. And there were 3 initial partners, Influential being one of them, that was provided essentially all of this first-party TikTok data that was powering the platform, the Influential platform. And I was kind of leading that effort at Influential, and then TikTok had reached out to, see if I wanted to kind of build that, at TikTok. And it was an opportunity that was too good to turn down at the time. And so I joined. I think we had like 3 people on the team. There was no job description. It was just like, yeah, we're going to like build this platform, like figure out what your goals are, figure out what you're what you're going to do. And that's kind of like, I'm very entrepreneurial in that sense. I've always kind of been a builder at heart. And so that opportunity felt really interesting to me. And we grew really quickly. I mean, I think it was very much a 0 to 1. There was pretty much like a skeleton kind of design of what it was. And we essentially scaled to, from about 3 people to about 120 people. Wow. In a year and a half, and 24 markets around the globe. We onboarded 2 million creators to the platform, and supported brands of every size, from SMB to enterprise, agencies around the world. And really, it was like a focus of how can, a recognition that if creators are going to spend their time on this platform creating content that ultimately is the inventory for advertising, how can we make sure that creators can make a living while they're doing that, right? And I think that's something that TikTok did so beautifully, is it invested so heavily and they still to this day invest so heavily in helping creators to make a living, not only in the sort of like traditional like YouTube AdSense way, which is also a very, very powerful model, but maybe more diverse. TikTok takes like a more diverse approach in terms of like brand and creator collaborations and things of that nature. So that's kind of how we we built a platform. And then the last year and a half at TikTok, I spent focused on building TikTok Symphony, which is the platform suite of generative AI tools, everything from ideation, production, and optimization. And if you think about the sort of three pillars of content, you have like user-generated content through creators, you have premium-generated content through like agencies, and then you have AI-generated content. And creators actually fit into all three of those buckets. If we think about the future of how where things are today, but certainly where the future is, like creators are central to all three of those means by which we create content.
Absolutely. And I feel like you've been at the forefront of the holy grail of branded content and creator economy. How do you feel the AI starts to fit into all of this?
Yeah, I think it's a really exciting time for the future of the creator economy. Why? Because the type of content that creators have been enabled to make today has been very like this, right? Mm-hmm. Like it's your phone, you are shooting content on the fly, a lot of talk to camera, a lot of like unscripted content, right? You kind of can run around and like create really interesting skits and fun and like really authentic content, connect to audiences in real and emotive ways. All of that's amazing. And AI now allows creators it pretty much equips creators with access to cinematic quality production tools that may have not been available to creators before, had not been available certainly to creators around the world. So if you live in Hollywood, maybe you can get hired by someone and have access to those tools, and that's great. But most creators don't have that type of access. And so now what we're going to see is this kind of new trend towards moving creators more upstream, having creators have tools like 2D, 3D animation at their fingertips, have tools that they can shoot an explosion scene, right? Mm-hmm. Like, with a text prompt. And so we're going to start to see, especially like we're at the tip of the iceberg where, and as everyone says, like, this is the worst the technology will ever be. It's only going to get so much better. Mm-hmm. And the quality of content that creators can unlock purely with their imagination and pure drive and willpower is interesting.
Yeah. And, we could see the evolution from the Will Smith eating spaghetti 3 years ago to what it is now. And it's just mind blowing. Speaking of
but actually, Gus, if I can, part of what connected Mehmet and I is that he has created an AI short film himself as well. And Mehmet, maybe you could talk a little bit about that too.
Absolutely. That's actually where I started, from shifting from being a technologist to more on the creator side of the things. In this upcoming era, the diagrams between a creator and a technologist is going to get only closer and closer. And I keep finding myself ideating on this new tooling, only to realize that it's pulling me more on the creator side. Mm-hmm. And started to try out when the VO3 came out. I don't know if you got a chance to experience that. It's a great revolutionary tool to generate content. And started playing around with it. And then I started writing stories, which turned that into prompts and ideating. And I don't know the last time when this happened, but I just didn't sleep for 2 days. I was so captivated by it, of what it came out. And at that point, AI felt like an instrument, almost like a music instrument, in a way that the more you put work into it, the more you understand it, the better music you can create. And that's ended up with creating a trailer of a movie called Iteration 1847. It's about a creator called Zoe Chen. Just a quick sneak peek, basically, that creates content for social media, and then started using AI to make that tooling, make the content better, and creating its own models, only to realize itself that Zoe Chen is a model itself.
Wow. So that's super interesting. I'm sure we will pull up some images. So, Mehmet, tell me a little bit about your experience. What limitations? What were the edges of these explorations that you found interesting while building your short movie?
I found various things. Like some of them are as simple as AI doesn't have the context of a human in terms of capturing a story, and but most importantly, AI can do a lot of things really well that humans can do, but it doesn't have that lived experience of the storytelling, the connection of it. You as the human still need to be in charge on dictating what's possible and pushing the boundaries of the AI, but then it usually falls short because it doesn't have that lived experience. It cannot replicate, at least for now, on the story that you want to tell, which is a human-to-human connection at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. You could see that the emotions, they're getting increasingly better, but it feels like it doesn't still connect emotionally deeply with, at least when you facially recognize the expression, you still don't feel the extreme emotion. And that's where filmmaking still has the head start. And when you go to the movies and you're expecting to be moved and connect deeply. So perhaps is more a tools for inanimate objects and backgrounds and things like that. But I want to get a little bit into what you guys are building now, because it's super exciting. So you guys tell me a little bit more about Infinite Studios.
Yeah, definitely. So, and just on that point, Gus, like I think something important to think about in the context of like filmmaking as it relates to AI is that it's very much a spectrum. Like to your point, like if you're just taking like a text prompt and generating like a movie, right? Like that's one part of it. But oftentimes like these like really professional AI artists or artists who happen to be using AI tools as part of their tool set are like for one character, they may generate maybe 1,000 different like times to get the character to what they imagine to be and like how they want it to come to life, right? So there's a lot of iteration, there's a lot of experimentation, and then it's the human storytelling that needs to come through. And kind of just like a lot of the stuff that we see online today, because these tools are so accessible, what everyone is being exposed to is sort of like the mass of all of this content. And you're going to start to see some of the best work rise to the top. And that will be continue to be very hybrid in that approach. Like the tools aren't there yet to be like fully sustaining. Like it still requires VFX. Like most of the skills that transfer into this new technology is like, if you're a screenwriter, you're so far ahead. If you are VFX artist, if you're great at post-production, like these are skill sets that transfer really well into this new medium. And these are the types of creators that we are working with directly within Infinite Studios. And to tell you about the platform, we are a discovery and collaboration platform. We're built for this next generation of creators, artists, and filmmakers who happen to be using AI tools as part of their tool set, in addition to, their expertise and experience in traditional tools and, the commercial opportunities that they've had previously before. And so within the platform, we have structured and shareable portfolios that are purpose-built for generative media. We have tools for brands and studios to discover and engage with artists for these commercial opportunities. And we have end-to-end workflows and collaboration tools as well. And really, we believe that the future of content production will be more decentralized and it'll continue to be more creator focused. And we're going to start to see more of that shift, not only in, the creator economy, but across all of media and marketing and even like the studio models. We're going to start to see more of that shift in power towards independent creators that are now enabled with these tool sets.
Excellent.
Absolutely. To add on to that is like what it used to take an entire production studio of 100, maybe 1,000 people to generate or create a production, whether it's an advertisement or a short film. Now it can be done with 1 to few people. And on Adrian's note, it's the difference of you as a creator being a storyteller or a director or even a sound artist, having that previous background makes the difference between having a content that is 80% there to 95% there in terms of the story that you want to tell. At the end of the day, like, we are trying to make win-win scenarios between brands and creators.
Yeah, and I think to add to that, it's the idea of reducing teams down to smaller sizes is really empowering for independent creators because, and I'll give you an example, there's an artist that we have been working with previously. Her name is Roxanne Ducharme. She's incredible. She's been working in Hollywood for the last 40 years. She's Emmy-winning, Oscar-nominated, brilliant 3D, 2D animator. And since COVID, she's been out of work. And she now has been using these AI tools to, rather than waiting for someone to hire her to be part of a big production, she's actually creating these incredible short films herself and creating this content and winning all of these awards in these AI communities and getting commercial work. And she's fully equipped and empowered to be in charge of her own destiny and have agency over her own career. And that's the trend that we want to continue to invest in with the platform, so that so much of the AI space is focused on how can we make creative more easy, which is great, and we need that. But who's focusing on how can we make this new medium more professionalized and more monetizable? Those are the areas that we're focused on.
Absolutely. And what that means for brands is that you're going to be able to connect with other creators that are doing things that draw attention to, that can help you build your brand on top of assets that weren't previously weren't even it would cost a lot of money. So can you give me an example of something that a brand could build with your platform?
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, I'll talk first though about not only brands but also like studios. So, for example, we're working on a feature-length documentary right now, and it's an incredible story about 2 gay men in Russia who, it's illegal to be gay in Russia. They're outed. They have to flee the country. They have to cross 4 continents to get to Mexico. They come into the US through the Mexican border. They get married over Zoom in Mexico so that they can claim refugee status and come into the US together. It's a very harrowing tale that combines sort of, geopolitical tensions, war, LGBTQ rights, immigration, all of these things together. It's so timely of a piece. But we have this is very much an example of like hybrid production, because we have 15 hours of interviews, live action interviews with these 2 incredible individuals shot on a green screen. And we're making a radio cut where we have, 90 minutes of content of them telling their stories cut together. We're going to use their real voice, but we're going to bring visually this film to life with 2D animation, which our partners in this, who have a production studio as well, and they've been working in the documentary film space for the last 20 years. Animation, as I'm sure you know, Gus, right? Like, is not very accessible to indie filmmakers, right? Can be $30,000 a minute. That's not the budget that you have when you're producing a documentary, typically. And it's not free, by the way. Mm-hmm. Like, AI still costs oftentimes thousands of dollars to produce per minute. Mm-hmm. When you also factor in, the creators and the artists that are involved, and also the generative tools and the credits that are needed to bring that to life. But the reason why AI is so powerful as a creative choice, not for only speed and efficiency, but as a creative choice, is because we can preserve the authenticity of the characters through these tools. We can basically train a model on their facial expressions, their hand movements, their gestures, like how they talk, how they move, how they embrace each other, all of those things. can be used to train the model, again, with the 15 hours of footage we have with them. And so we can preserve the authenticity of their characters while protecting their identities for the sake of their families who are still living in Russia.
Amazing. And you potentially could build other stories that stem off from into other narratives in other many ways. So you could create a world
so we're
around them.
the way that we're using the platform is we're sourcing artists from the platform, right? Based on the work that they have created in the space and their specific skill set and capabilities. Because this space is so new and evolving, and there's creators who are particularly skilled in some tools versus other tools, or have background in sound design versus they are commercial directors, right? Like all of their kind of traditional skill set, as well as their creative technical skill set to meet the needs of this new medium, is something that's really hard to discover, like the right talent without like a platform like Infinite Studios. Yeah. So that's what we're building on that end, and then enabling the collaboration workflows, because this project, as many larger projects, will require a number of different artists to work together who have specialized skill sets. So allowing the platform to collaborate in a seamless way and have review and approval over that content, and even pay the artist directly through the platform is something that is everything that we support today.
Amazing. All right. So how do we get in contact with you guys? How do we get involved with Infinite Studios? What is it that you guys are going to allow us to do? And how do we get in contact with you guys?
Yeah. So we're in a closed beta right now. So right now the platform is invite only, but we have a wait list. And so please do reach out via the wait list. We will send you that link after so you can publish it.
Yeah, we can post it below in the description.
Amazing.
So you guys can go there and connect with Adrian.
Perfect.
Well, that's all the time that we have for now. There's so many questions. There's so many more interesting things that are going to happen in the space. So please feel free to reach out to Adrian and Mehmet. You guys are doing a wonderful job, and we're rooting for a solution. We want creators to feel empowered as opposed to feel oppressed. We in the Brand Ventures are really excited about the future. Thank you guys for coming in and sharing your story. I want everybody to go follow the Brand Ventures, to listen to more interesting stories about entrepreneurs. Thank you, Adrian. Thank you, Mehmet. I'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for having us, Gus.
Thank you, Gus.
GP5, production for adventurous brands.